Is this a good news or a bad news? Currently, it appears African parents are winning court cases over sending their children from the Western country to Africa. The recent one online, it's about the 14-year-old Ghanaian boy who sued the parents. He claimed the parents tricked him to Africa. The parents actually claimed that they were going to Africa to visit a sick relative, and on getting there, they enrolled him into a boarding school. They actually sent him to Africa when he was just 13. That was last year, and now the boy is currently 14. So he started schooling in Ghana, but then he claimed it feels like he was in a hell, that he was not understanding anything, and that he was mistreated, that he would constantly get into a fight with other school children, that the classroom wasn't as good as, it was quite challenging for him coping in the classroom setting, that he felt really bad, that he wanted to come back home. Home is England, because this boy was actually born in London and he's been living in London until his 13th birthday. I don't know if he had ever been to Ghana. Sorry. Yes, let me not conclude. Until that last year when they sent him back to Ghana and got him enrolled into a private school. And remember, for a parent living in a Western country, for you to send your child back to your home country and get that child into a private school or a boarding school, definitely that boarding school must be of a high standard. It must be all these British established private schools in our home country in Nigeria, in Ghana. We always look for the best, or all these missionary private boarding schools back home, even if it means paying 2 million, 3 million per term. Definitely a parent living in the Western country would be willing to pay that for their child to make sure that they get into the best of best in Africa. And why was this boy complaining? And so why exactly did this boy's parents move him to Africa in the first place? How did he even contact a lawyer? Did he win this case? And what is the reactions of people over this case? Just listen and let's dive into it more and more. So this very young man actually contacted the British High Commission in Accra, Ghana precisely, and then reached out to other children's charity organizations who linked him up to a lawyer. So that was how he contracted a lawyer that has been standing for him for this very particular case. So before this case was actually tried in a law court, a lot of investigations, inquiries, interviews, were carried out. This particular lady, a solicitor representing this boy's father in the court, stated that this boy met the 11 of the points on a checklist produced by the charity organization to indicate whether a child might have joined a gang or was being criminally exploited. That the boy met 11 points on their checklist. That included being absent from school. The boy was constantly being absent from school, having unexplained money, buying new things and carrying weapons. She said it was not only the parents who was worried about this young man. Guess what? His school claimed it had suspicions about him engaging in criminal activities and had observed him in expensive clothes and with mobile phones. And in this young man's attempts to defend himself, he acknowledged that my behavior wasn't the best, and he thought that was the reason his parents sent him to Africa. And there was a question that came up. If the boy's parents acted unlawfully, did they really, consent this boy before sending this boy to Africa? That was the question a lot of people were arguing over on the comment section. But did you really think that if this boy was actually told by the parents that we'll be sending you to Africa, and once we get there, you'll be staying there, you're not coming back with us until maybe you finish your high school, do you think that this boy would want to go home? A boy like this that is living ostentatious life. Mind you, there was a statement that said, this boy is a good cook. He's a footballer. He's intelligent. You can imagine. So the parents actually brought him up very well. But this crazy behavior that was emanating from him was something that scared the parents. And the father also claimed that he doesn't want to be the part of his son's destruction. Yes. And he feared that his son shouldn't be another black child that got stabbed on the streets of London, or even having to stab another child. That was his fears, And what exactly was the judge's conclusion on this case? So in his judgment, the High Court judge, Mr. Justice Hayden, said he recognized that this is, in many ways, both a sobering and rather depressing conclusion. He said that he was satisfied that the parents' wish for their son to move to Ghana was driven by their deep, obvious, and uncontrolled love. We cared for our children. We don't want them to misbehave. In Africa, the community brings up a child, but in this part of the world, even the parent does not bring up a child in a Western country. The parents has no rights. Oh my goodness. Parents are even scared of their children in the Western country. You just have to process what you say to your child, how you say it, so that your child wouldn't pick offense. Though it is okay to consider your child's feelings before you say anything. But here it is very much extreme, to be frank with you. So the judge went on to say that the boy was at risk of suffering greater harm returning to the UK. The boy's parents believe, and in my judgment with reason, that their son has at very least peripheral involvement with gang culture and has exhibited an unhealthy interest in knives. Can you imagine? The boy's father told the judge the couple did not want their son to be yet another black teenager stabbed to death in the streets of London, just as I have stated earlier. And the mother also added that sending him to Africa was not a punishment, but a measure to protect him from harm. I can imagine how concerned, how worried the parents were before reaching to this conclusion of sending their child to Ghana. Alright, so let's go on and take few reactions from people. Just 4 comments. We continue with our discussion. This person is a social worker here in the UK, a Ghanaian social worker precisely. I am a Ghanaian, and like many children, I grew up in Ghana and came back here for college. I will tell you this as a social worker. It might not feel nice on the first month, but this is one of the things I'm so grateful to my mom for. I have lots of friends who went through the same, being sent to Ghana. The education, the discipline, the culture, the safety and sense of family is top notch. I wouldn't change it for anything. A social worker working in the UK who had the same experience being sent to Africa, and then she came back for her college. I've seen 2 young men those years, 8 years ago, in Bolton, white British. Both of them twin, a set of twin. They opened an African restaurant. Guess what? They went back to Benin, for their university education, and then came back to England. In fact, that their African restaurant, I hope it's still functioning. Very hardworking. They speak our pidgin English, pure Oyibo, nothing of black in them. They grew up in Edo State, Nigeria. They attended Ekpoma University. I had a conversation with them. Assuming it was now, I would have gone to interview them, Next person. I think the parents have warned him many times to change, and he chose not to. If parents told the truth, he could have run away from home, leading to another case. Exactly my fear. Assuming that the parents told this boy, okay, we're sending you home, like I stated, and blah, blah, blah. This boy would have left home. You could have disappeared from home and would end up in all this social fostering home and all them stuff until he turns 18. This is what the parents didn't want to happen. And the judge understood that even when they questioned about this, was he consented? The mom came up with another thing, her personal emotions and feelings. She did not answer yes or no to that question. Another person, my family's friends' parents did the same to their son. They went on holiday and left him there. The thing is, when they went back to bring him back for GSSE, he said he didn't want to come back. This young man has started enjoying the life, the freedom in Africa, and the moral upbringing back home. Okay. This is another social worker. He said, fellow social worker here, as someone who works with children in custody, this is very complex issue, but 100% understand why families do this. Shipping a child, this is another person, shipping a child off to country they are not familiar with isn't necessarily a good idea. They should have gone with him and stayed so they can continue their parental responsibilities. Do you think that the parents should have traveled or should have moved to Ghana with their son, maybe spend some years and then come back? Though the dad also stated he visited this boy again this year, and they rapport very well at school. The boy is just being naughty from my own understanding because he has a good relationship with his father, including the mom. So generally, I want to hear your opinion in the comment section. What do you think about this case? Meanwhile, as someone who works in a school, Like I stated in some of my videos, the school where I worked, where I saw about 6 children being extracted from a classroom and they put them in a big hall where they will play, scatter the table, do their... In fact, they put even a kitchen station for them where they can from time to time, they are eating. Hey, Jesus Christ. These children are sane. They are not special needs children. No autism, no ADHD, whatever. They are very much fine. Like I said, I asked questions severally. They said they are just being naughty. They said they are children who are literally bad from home. No home upbringing, nothing. So they brought that attitude to school. And me, physically looking at those children, nothing is wrong with them. Others will be busy learning in class, while these ones will be busy playing, eating. They go to the kitchen, they help themselves, they eat bread, they eat whatever. While others, their mates, these children came from different classes. Year 4, year 3, year. I said, what is this? In fact, all I felt, every time I go in, I watch these children, I kept on thinking about their tomorrow, what they would become in the society. All I concluded was that this system is actually grooming children for madness. Yes, they are grooming people who will be into those mental health homes tomorrow, because this is where, from the look of things, where they're going to end, to be honest with you. If they cannot cope in a normal classrooms with their mates, what did they do? Because from the beginning, 2 of them or 3 of them were actually in a classroom where I was working. They distract the teacher, they shout. Imagine in a different school, a boy telling the head teacher, shut the F up. And the head teacher couldn't do nothing. He shouted at anybody. They do the same. I've witnessed this in different schools played out. And who am I? A mere supply teacher to talk to them, where they are men teachers, the head teachers are not doing anything. They can't do anything to help them, because the kids actually have more power than their teachers. This is what the system has given them, that authority over the grown-ups, over their parents, over their teachers. They know the numbers to call social work. They know the numbers to call the police. Who does that in Africa? A 14-year-old suing your own parents. Who does that in Africa? In Africa, after God comes your parents. We respect our parents, because you live under their care. You live under their mercy and everything. They provide for you. So how dare you even think of suing your parents? That doesn't happen. So the system is something that needs to be changed, to be honest. Give parents some kind of power to talk to their children in the right way. Not children. Children are not our parents, for crying out loud, because this is what this family must have feared. Like the case I told you of about a pastor in Manchester, whom 2 children were taken away from them. 2 children, 11 and 13. Why? Because the mom asked them to wash dishes with their hands. Not with the dishwasher, but to do dishes with their hands, the way we do it in Africa. It became a problem. They pick up the phone and call the police. This was how these 2 children were taken away from their parents. What is wrong asking a child to do dishes? My boy used to help me here. I have the dishwasher here, but I never used it for once. My boy started helping. I don't ask him to. Before they will say I'm... we are scared. We are scared of what to do, what to say, how to... Why? Life shouldn't be this way, The good thing is this boy would definitely come to appreciate the parents, what they have done for him. I know coping at first would be difficult. Yes, because he was not brought up in that system, the culture, the accent, the pastor accent, It's gonna be what is going on. What are they saying, pastor and that? But that's okay. Yes, he would come to appreciate what the parents had done for him. And for a 14-year-old boy who wasn't working, showcasing all this expensive stuff, phone, clothes, expensive, the schools was also suspecting him as much as the parents. You can imagine the concern, and involving in all this criminal activity. And he's a promising young boy. So I can imagine the fear of the parents. I think they did the right in sending him home. But from time to time, they should always visit him, so that he doesn't feel abandoned. to be frank. And definitely he gonna make friends. Yes, meeting up with other children in that boarding school, knowing that their parents are not there with them, or their parents are in Western countries and blah blah blah. That would also give him courage to mellow down, to understand why the parents did the same. Yes, if the parents would from time to time visit him, take him out, take him to his family house and places in Ghana, I think he would leave to start loving this idea. Meanwhile, he's not staying there forever. He would still come back to England for his education. I wish the parents well, and I hope that this boy turns out very well at the long run. Yes. Alright guys, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and keep coming back for more. Mwah.